the reason I'm in business with my DeFi Academy is two reasons. First of all, user experience, and then lack of understanding. And so let's move into user experience, because what I do is I get people from 17 years old up to 77 years old. And by the way, I've had my daughter in here. She's 17. We talked about crypto. I got her on a MetaMask wallet. My mom, she's 78. She lives in California. She now has a MetaMask wallet. But it wasn't the easiest thing to do, Ben, right? As you know, right? And I had to send them some crypto and send them some stable coin. And now have they used it? You know, maybe a little bit. I sent them an NFT, which was a better way to onboard them. And we'll talk about the metaverse going forward. But let's talk about that user experience, because like you said, 8 billion people in the world. I think 3 billion have a smartphone, I think. They obviously can use their smartphone and use the internet. So those two industries have mastered the user experience. Tell me about, what does this look like going forward and why it's such a priority for you? And what does even that mean, user experience, to an individual?
Sure. So a good way, a productive way of seeing it is, how can you compress all this information in one element, sort of, that the user can look at and see or discover the other elements without having to learn a lot, without having prior knowledge of specific things in computer science and so forth. And very specifically, it boils down to a few things in the crypto space. First and foremost is the fact that for as long as you have to type in a string of characters, 30 something characters as an address, that's literally crazy for most people. I mean, we've got used to it just because a lot of people make money, and they, as you said before, even though it might be painful, it's still interesting to look at, and so forth. But just consider the bandwidth limitation of the brain when you're trying to ask someone a string of characters and tell them that this is your address. And then consider how simple it becomes when you just give them your username. That alone is something that's of huge importance. And as soon as it becomes a standard, as we've made it in the Myar application, the Myar wallet, you basically have this one thing that becomes your hero tag, around which you can have whatever addresses you want. Bitcoin addresses, Ethereum addresses, Elrond addresses, and so on. And this is the only thing you really need from the user. This is the thing you can transfer them money through via WhatsApp and so forth, or directly on the internet, because you have their hero tag and you can move forward with that. A second element, of course, is security. How can you create, and here the question is, how can you teach them and create a process that's progressive and gradual without having to ask the same level of security from a guy that basically has zero money in crypto, and then you're asking him to set up a security vault as he would have $1 million. Like, that's crazy in whatever way you're looking at it. But I mean, isn't there a way to make it super subtle, super simple, super playful? Like, ask me something now, then give me some stuff to do, get me excited, and then get me reminded about this second thing that I need to do, and so forth. And all of a sudden, you see that the effort that I need to put into this is not about like creating this bunker of security in order to not lose my money and so forth. And then thirdly, if you have these two elements and have the speed, the inexpensiveness, what are the applications that you need to simplify and boil down? Like, what's DeFi for the average user? DeFi, if you look at it, you need to look at it in a much more broader sense, because the idea here is that you've had fintech and you've had DeFi, and these two things are basically two important points from the same coins. Namely, fintech has always been about front-end improvements in the applications, and DeFi has always been about the back-end improvements in the application. The end user doesn't care about what algorithm, what code you're really using. The end user cares about, how can I use my money? Is it safe? Is it secure enough? Can I participate in this and that? If you can translate this and compress it so that the end user can look at it and say, so a savings account that gives me 20% interest rather than minus 0.5%. How cool is that? I mean, that's super cool. That's something anyone in the world almost could understand. And so most of the things that we're looking at, we've had years to get accommodated to them, to compress information so that they mean something to us. What does a seeds phrase mean to the average user? I mean, this was an insight, a very fundamental insight that we've discovered when we said that most of the people lost their money, super sadly, in the crypto space because a seed phrase or passphrase basically is nowhere different than gibberish to the average user. Like it's something super random, arbitrary. You put a sound at, it doesn't mean anything. And then it's this type of things that are so crucial that you will not survive to cross the chasm unless they are addressed. And we've put a huge amount of effort into addressing them and creating this very simple mobile wallet that's called the Myar app. And it's out. It has a lot of space to improve further. It's nowhere near to what we wish it to be, and we have a lot of exciting stuff on that end. But I mean, we need to do the steps. We cannot wait for the super cycle to just happen, like watching TV and taking some popcorn and so forth. We need to kick in, put the best minds at work, and find the best solutions for the users if we want them to come in.